Wow, so we just got our first look into the Eagles OTA practices, and a lot went down, as the Birds may have just leaked a massive change that they have made to their offense that could really take everything to the next level. Also, on top of that, one guy has seemingly already started to separate himself from the pack as the early favorite to start for the Birds at wide receiver 3, while the Eagles' top rookie was making plays during practice along with many other guys. Plus, we got our first look out on the field at some of the new additions, including Saquon Barkley, and it's really exciting. So we're going to talk about all that and so much more, and we won't waste any time. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so it's official, OTAs are here, and Wednesday marked the first day where the media had access to practice, meaning that this is the first time that the public has had an inside look into what exactly is going on during the Eagles OTAs. And just from this one day, there's just so much new information to go over, starting with a ton of clips of the players actually practicing out on the field, and that includes Jalen Hurts, who we got to see go through some warm-ups and just throw the ball around a little bit. You could see him alongside Kenny Pickett and the other Eagles quarterbacks, while also working with new quarterbacks coach Doug Nussmeier. Then we also got A.J. Brown out there doing some drills and catching the ball. We can also see Dallas Goedert catching passes, offensive lineman Cam Jurgens and Tyler Steen working on some blocking with the other linemen. Then the DBs were also seen all together doing some drills, including Darius Slay, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship, and the rookie Quinyon Mitchell, just to name a few. And in addition to that, we could also see some of the other rookies and running back Will Shipley and wide receiver Johnny Wilson doing some different things. And then we also got video of the defensive tackles doing some drills, including Jordan Davis, who looked to have some nice burst out there, and also Jalen Carter. And speaking of Carter and Davis, Jalen Carter actually was the first player to speak to the media after practice, and he said that both him and JD are working really hard while also making the claim that Davis is currently in great shape.
Jordan Davis, and we saw some pictures of him at the bike race looking pretty fit. How has he been doing with his conditioning? Have you been working with him in this offseason with that?
Yeah, we do everything I see us doing here is what we do. You know, a lot of players do a lot of extra, so probably right now he might be still out there doing extra while I'm over here talking to you guys, but you know, they do a lot of stuff off the scene and stuff that I don't see, but right now I see like he's very conditioned.
It's obvious that the one main concern with Jordan Davis is just him being in shape and condition so he's able to stay consistent throughout the entire season. And based on what Carter said, it sounds like as of right now, he's in a good spot, so that was definitely awesome to hear. But Carter also said something else that was actually very interesting, as during practice, we also got this clip of Vic Fangio out there having a conversation with Eagles GM Howie Roseman, and there's of course been some drama involving Vic recently with some Miami players, namely Javon Holland, who essentially said without saying that Vic Fangio is somehow a bad person and coach, which is honestly really just a crazy claim to make about anybody, especially publicly, but at least based on initial impressions, it seems like Jalen Carter does not see that at all with Vic Fangio.
Vic, I love Vic, man. Old school, man. He's fun to talk to. He's a good coach. I heard a lot of good news about him because I was in Miami working out, so I had a couple Miami players out there. I was talking to them, so I heard a lot of good news and they're saying a lot of good stuff.
So it's just awesome to hear that, because it sounds like Carter is not afraid of being coached hard, and we know with Vic's old school style, that's exactly what he's going to want to do, and whatever problems there were with a couple guys in Miami honestly just seem like outliers in a 40-year coaching career for Vic, where most of his players liked him, and I honestly feel like with the culture the Eagles have, there really shouldn't be any issue with the new defensive coordinator and the players, but what do you guys think? But now moving on, in addition to all these other videos, we also got to see a couple of the new additions out on the practice field for the first time, starting with edge rusher Bryce Huff, who we could see doing this bend drill, and then the guy who everybody has been really excited to see in Saquon Barkley, as a ton of videos of him came out from Wednesday's practice. I mean, we could see him going through some warm-ups here, then later we saw him going through some drills without the football, and then after that, a ton of clips were released of him either taking handoffs or catching passes from Jalen Hurts, which is just so awesome to see. I mean, the excitement for Saquon is sky high, and that's for a very good reason, and again, it's just so awesome to see him for the first time in an Eagles practice uniform going through drills and just starting to build a little bit of chemistry, even though it is just drills and practice, but building chemistry out on the field with Jalen Hurts. And in addition to these clips, Saquon also spoke to the media after practice, and he was asked about something that I think is a very exciting aspect of adding Barkley to the team, and that's the leadership that he brings. And he essentially said that even though it's just his first year here, he's not afraid to be outspoken and be one of the leaders for this team.
That doesn't, me being new here doesn't bother me. I believe that I'm a leader. I believe, I don't believe I know it's my 7th year going to NFL. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of leaders here already, which is great when you have that many leaders in the room, and I feel like I only can add to that.
So I definitely love that. And again, I think Barkley's leadership is a very underrated aspect of what he brings, but something that'll be very, very important. So thumbs up for that. Now, moving on from that though, there were actually a few guys that were absent from this specific OTA practice, and those include Lane Johnson, DeVonta Smith, Josh Sweat, Keely Ringo, and James Bradberry. And the absence of Bradberry is obviously very notable because, as we've talked about in my last couple of videos, at least from the outside looking in, I mean, there's no guarantee that Bradberry starts or even stays on the roster. So I just feel like based on the whole uncertainty around the situation, it would have probably been beneficial for him to show up, both from the perspective of him being just a veteran on the team, but also just based off how he looked last season and the fact that he kind of needs to show up and compete if he wants to be able to prove himself again. So you kind of just have to wonder if there's a reason why Bradberry isn't there and if this could actually mean something. So what do you guys think about the whole JB situation, and do you think that him not being there on Wednesday could actually mean anything? But now, in the absence of Bradberry, it was actually the new guy Isaiah Rodgers who got the start opposite Darius Slay with Avonte Maddox in the slot during practice, so that's definitely notable, and it kind of makes you wonder if Rodgers has a shot at being a starter in week 1, depending on what happens with Bradberry and also just the readiness of the rookies. And speaking of the rookies, both Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean worked with the second team in practice on Wednesday, with Mitchell on the outside and DeJean being in the slot. And Quinyon Mitchell specifically was apparently really impressive, as he made some really nice plays during 7-on-7s, specifically blanketing wide receiver Jacob Harris on one play and breaking up what was apparently a really nice pass from Kenny Pickett. And then he also had another pass breakup on a Pickett throw to Johnny Wilson. So overall, it really seems like it was a pretty nice start for the rookie, and as time goes by, he's obviously only going to continue to get better and more comfortable, and more plays will come. Plus, I'm sure we'll get to see him with the first team at some point, going up against AJ and DeVonta, so that's going to be really exciting as well. And now, staying on the defensive side of the ball, it was also exciting to hear about Devin White and how he apparently had a really nice play in coverage during 7-on-7s, specifically sticking with Saquon Barkley in one-on-one coverage down the sideline, where he eventually broke up the pass. So it's good to hear that Devin White is making plays already during OTAs, because the Birds definitely need that from the linebacker position. Speaking of that, something else kind of interesting from this OTA practice is that Zack Baun was getting the first team reps at off-ball linebacker alongside Devin White. Now, Nakobe Dean was not practicing, so it's not like Baun got the reps over him, but you do have to wonder if maybe Baun could actually have a chance at winning that starting job depending on how he and Nakobe look during training camp. I mean, I'm still going to assume that Nakobe probably gets the nod, but what do you guys think? Does Zack Baun have an outside chance of getting that starting spot? But now, someone else who, like Nakobe, was not out on the practice field was safety Sidney Brown, as he's still recovering from the ACL tear that he suffered back in January, but he apparently looked good while doing his individual work off to the side, and hopefully we'll see him back out there very soon. But now, switching over to the offensive side of the ball, apparently some of those guys looked really impressive as well, including quarterback Jalen Hurts, who started off 7-on-7s red hot, completing all of his passes, with most of them going to AJ Brown. But then Hurts also started targeting one of the new Eagles receivers very heavily in Parris Campbell, who got the start at wide receiver 3 on Wednesday, and he definitely made the most of his opportunity, as he apparently was really impressive, as, like I said earlier, Jalen started to target him very heavily as practice went on, and he did make some nice plays, including a very nice contested catch. Plus, Chris Franklin named Campbell's impressive day as one of the big takeaways from Wednesday's OTA practice. So overall, it seems like Campbell could be establishing himself as the early favorite to win the wide receiver 3 job. And yes, this is just OTAs. Nothing is even close to being decided yet, but at least as of right now, if you had to pick a favorite, it'd probably be him. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? But now, finally, getting to what I think is possibly the most exciting thing from this OTA practice is that it's pretty much confirmed at this point that the Eagles offense is going to use a lot more motion in 2024, with Chris Franklin saying that a lot of motion was used to get the QB's intel during the 7-on-7 period, and AJ Brown was used all over the field. And to me, that's just super exciting, because the Eagles have obviously not really used much motion at all during Nick Sirianni's tenure here, and especially after how the offense looked last year, that's something that a lot of Eagles fans have been calling for, and it seems like Kellen Moore has been able to deliver on that. So now, with the added use of motion on top of just the insane amount of talent the Eagles have on offense, it's just going to make it so much harder on opposing defenses to stop them, and I honestly just cannot wait to see it in action. And overall, it was just a really eventful and very exciting first media covered practice of OTAs, but there will be more, and I'm going to be covering everything here on this channel, so if you don't want to miss any of that, make sure you subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. And also, while you're at it, make sure you drop a like. I'd greatly appreciate it, and also leave a comment down below just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. And if you want to watch another Eagles video going over some other Eagles OTA news from the past couple days, you can check this out right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much what I got for this one, guys, so thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.